Some stories are uncomfortable because they don't offer excuses. I was still wearing my wedding dress when he said it. Not the first hour, not during the toast. Later, when the hotel room door closed and the silence became something physical between us. "I need to tell you something," Daniel said. I remember thinking it was going to be something sweet, a private vow, something he'd been saving for this moment. Marrying you was a mistake. I didn't cry immediately. I didn't scream. I stood there in that expensive dress with the beading that had taken 3 fittings to get right, and I tried to understand if I'd heard him correctly. "What?" I said marrying you was a mistake. His voice wasn't angry. It wasn't cruel in the way you'd expect. It was flat, like he was reading from a script he'd memorized but didn't particularly care about. I sat down on the edge of the bed. The mattress was too soft. Everything in the room felt too soft, too white, too carefully arranged. "Why did you go through with it then?" He didn't answer right away. He went to the minibar and opened a bottle of water, drank half of it, put it down on the dresser without looking at me, because everyone expected me to. I wanted him to take it back, to say he was nervous, or drunk, or having some kind of breakdown, but he just stood there, looking at the wall, like I wasn't even in the room. "You could have said something before today." "I know. Before the church. Before the reception. Before 300 people watched us. I know." I stood up. The dress suddenly felt heavy, like it was trying to pull me through the floor. "So what happens now?" He finally looked at me. His face was empty. "I don't know. That was the moment I should have left. Walked out of that room, gotten in a car, driven anywhere. But I didn't. I stood there waiting for him to fix it, to explain, to give me something I could hold on to." He went into the bathroom and closed the door. I sat back down and stared at my hands. They were shaking. I woke up alone. The other side of the bed was untouched. For a moment, I thought I'd dreamed it, that the whole conversation had been some kind of stress-induced hallucination. But when I turned my head, I saw him on the couch by the window, still in his dress shirt and pants from the night before, asleep with his shoes still on. I got up carefully, like the floor might break if I stepped too hard. In the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror. My makeup was smudged. My hair was still pinned in the elaborate updo the stylist had spent 2 hours on. I looked like a ghost of someone who'd gotten married yesterday. I washed my face, took the pins out one by one, let my hair fall. When I came back out, Daniel was awake. He was sitting on the edge of the couch, elbows on his knees, staring at the carpet. "I'm sorry," he said. I didn't respond. I went to my suitcase and started pulling out clothes. Jeans, a sweater, things that didn't smell like tulle and hairspray. I shouldn't have said that, but you did. I was panicking. I pulled the sweater over my head and turned to face him. "About what?" He rubbed his face with both hands. "About everything. About us. About this. This. Marriage. The house. The future. All of it." I sat down on the bed, far enough away that we weren't touching. "When did you start panicking?" "I don't know. A few weeks ago. Maybe longer. And you didn't think to tell me?" "I thought it would go away." I wanted to laugh, or scream. Instead, I just sat there, feeling something inside me start to harden. "Do you love me?" He didn't answer immediately. That pause, 2 seconds, maybe 3, told me everything. "I think so." "You think so?" "I don't know what I feel right now." I stood up and grabbed my jacket. "Where are you going?" "For a walk." "We should talk about this." I stopped at the door and looked back at him. "You had months to talk about this, Daniel. You chose our wedding night." I left before he could respond. I walked for an hour, maybe 2. The city was cold and gray, and I was grateful for it. I didn't want sunshine. I didn't want cheerful strangers wishing me well. When I came back to the hotel, Daniel was gone. There was a note on the dresser. "Went to get coffee. Back soon." I sat on the bed and stared at the note. His handwriting looked the same as always. Neat, careful, like nothing had changed. My phone buzzed. Texts from my mother, my sister, friends from the wedding. All of them asking how the honeymoon suite was, if we were having a wonderful time, if marriage felt different. I turned the phone off. Daniel came back 20 minutes later with 2 coffees and a bag of pastries. He set them on the table like a peace offering. "I got your favorite." I looked at the bag but didn't move toward it. "We need to figure this out," he said. "Figure what out?" "What we're going to do." "You mean whether we're staying married?" He sat down across from me. "I don't want to get divorced. You said marrying me was a mistake." I was overwhelmed. "That's not an excuse." "I know." I finally took one of the coffees. It was still hot. I wrapped my hands around it and let the heat burn my palms. Why did you ask me to marry you? He looked genuinely confused by the question. Because I wanted to. When? When did you want to? When I asked you. And now? He didn't answer. I set the coffee down. I'm going home. We're supposed to be here for 3 more days. I don't care. People will ask questions. Let them. I started packing. He watched but didn't try to stop me. When I was done, I stood by the door with my suitcase. Are you coming? He looked at the untouched pastries, the expensive hotel room, the window with its view of the city. Yeah, he said finally. I'm coming. We drove home in silence. The apartment felt strange when we walked in. Someone had decorated it, probably my sister, with congratulations banners and rose petals on the floor. There was a bottle of champagne on the kitchen counter with a note that said, "To the happy couple." I picked up the petals one by one and threw them in the trash. Daniel stood in the doorway watching me. I'll sleep in the guest room, he said. Okay, we can talk tomorrow, when we're both less tired. Okay. He disappeared down the hall. I heard the guest room door close. I sat on the couch and stared at the champagne bottle. After a while, I opened it. It made a sad, muted pop. I poured myself a glass and drank it quickly, then poured another. My phone was still off. I left it that way. I woke up on the couch at 3 a.m. with an empty glass in my hand and a headache starting behind my eyes. The apartment was dark and quiet. I could hear Daniel snoring softly in the guest room. I went to our bedroom, my bedroom, and lay down on top of the covers. I didn't bother changing clothes. When I closed my eyes, all I could see was his face when he said it. Marrying you was a mistake. Not angry, not apologetic, just empty. The next morning I called in sick to work. Daniel did the same. We ate breakfast in the kitchen without speaking. He made scrambled eggs. I made toast. We sat across from each other like strangers in a waiting room. We should probably talk to someone, Daniel said finally. Like a therapist? Yeah. We've been married for 2 days. I know. Most people don't need couples therapy after 2 days. He pushed his eggs around his plate. I'm trying here. Are you? He looked up. What's that supposed to mean? I don't know what you're trying to do, Daniel. I don't know what you want. I don't even know if you know. I want to fix this. You can't fix something by pretending it didn't happen. I'm not pretending. You said marrying me was a mistake. Those were your exact words. And now you want to act like everything's fine if we just go to therapy and talk about our feelings? My voice was getting louder. I didn't care. I was scared, he said. Of what? Of failing. Of disappointing everyone. Of not being good enough. For marriage? For you. I stood up and took my plate to the sink. That's not fair. What isn't? Turning this into something about your insecurity. You humiliated me. I didn't mean to. On our wedding night, Daniel. The one night that was supposed to be about us starting something together. And you decided that was the moment to tell me you regretted everything. He didn't respond. I rinsed my plate and put it in the dishwasher with more force than necessary. I think I should stay somewhere else for a few days, he said. Fine. Just to give us both some space. Fine. He stood up. I'll pack a bag. I watched him disappear down the hall again. 10 minutes later, he came back with a duffel bag over his shoulder. I'll be at my brother's place. You can call if you need anything. Okay? He hesitated by the door. I really am sorry. I didn't respond. After a moment, he left. The apartment felt bigger when I was alone. I spent the first day cleaning, took down the decorations, threw away the rose petals I'd missed, put the champagne bottle in the recycling. My mother called. I let it go to voicemail. My sister called. I let it go to voicemail. Daniel's mother called. I turned my phone off again. On the second day, I started answering messages. I kept it simple. We cut the honeymoon short. Everything's fine. Just needed to be home. Everyone seemed to accept it, or at least they pretended to. Daniel texted me once. How are you? I didn't respond. He texted again the next day. Can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time. My finger hovered over the keyboard. Finally, I typed, not yet. He didn't text again after that. I went back to work. People asked how the wedding was, how married life felt, if we had a good honeymoon. I smiled and said it was wonderful, beautiful, perfect. I'd gotten very good at lying in a very short amount of time. At night, I lay in bed and replayed the conversation over and over, trying to find the moment it had started, trying to understand what I'd missed. Had he looked uncomfortable during the ceremony? Had he hesitated when he said his vows? Had there been signs? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it didn't matter. He'd said it, and now I couldn't unhear it. 3 weeks after the wedding, Daniel came home. I was making dinner when I heard his key in the lock. He walked in carrying his duffel bag and stood in the entryway like he wasn't sure he was allowed to be there. "Hi," he said. "Hi. I wanted to talk, if that's okay." I turned off the stove and faced him. "Okay." We sat in the living room. He took the chair. I took the couch. The distance between us felt intentional. "I've been thinking a lot," he said. I waited. About what I said. About why I said it. About what I actually want. And he leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I was wrong. I panicked. I let fear take over and I said something I didn't mean. "How do you know you didn't mean it?" "Because I've spent the last 3 weeks without you, and I've been miserable." "That's not the same thing." "I know. You can miss someone and still not want to be married to them." He rubbed his face. "I want to be married to you. Now you do. I always did. I got scared at the last minute. The enormity of it. The permanence. I felt like I was standing on the edge of something huge, and I panicked. I pulled my knees up to my chest. Do you know what it felt like, hearing you say that? I can imagine. No, you can't. You can't imagine what it's like to put on a wedding dress and walk down an aisle and say vows in front of everyone you know, and then have your husband tell you it was all a mistake before you've even taken the dress off. My voice cracked. I hated that it cracked. I felt like an idiot, Daniel. I felt like everyone knew something I didn't. Like I'd been sleepwalking through the whole thing and you were the only one awake. I'm sorry. Stop saying that. What do you want me to say? I want you to explain why you didn't say something before. Why you let it get all the way to the wedding night. Why you couldn't have been honest with me when there was still time to do something about it. He was quiet for a long time. Because I didn't want to lose you. So you married me anyway. Yes. Even though you weren't sure. I thought I'd feel differently once we were married. I thought the fear would go away. But it didn't. No. I uncurled myself and stood up. I don't know how to trust you anymore. I understand. Do you? Because I'm not sure you do. Every time you tell me you love me now, I'm going to wonder if you mean it. Every time we make a decision together, I'm going to wonder if you're secretly regretting it. You've turned our entire relationship into a question mark. He stood up too. Then let me prove it to you. How? Give me a chance. Let me show you that I'm here, that I'm committed, that I want this. I gave you a chance. I gave you months of engagement. I gave you a wedding. I gave you the benefit of the doubt that you knew what you were doing. I know. And you wasted it. The words came out harder than I'd intended, but I didn't take them back. Daniel's face changed. Something behind his eyes shifted. So what are you saying? I'm saying I don't know if I can do this. You want a divorce. I don't know what I want, but I know I can't pretend everything's fine. I can't go back to how things were before the wedding and act like you didn't say what you said. I'm not asking you to pretend. Then what are you asking? For time. For a chance to rebuild. I crossed my arms. And what if I can't? What if every time I look at you, all I hear is, marrying you was a mistake? He didn't have an answer for that. We stood there in the living room, the space between us feeling wider than it had been when he first walked in. I should go, he said finally. Yeah. He picked up his duffel bag. Can I call you? I don't know. Okay. He walked to the door and stopped. For what it's worth, I do love you. I know you don't believe me right now, but it's true. I didn't respond. He left, and I locked the door behind him. I stood there for a long time, listening to the silence, trying to decide if I felt relieved or devastated. Eventually, I realized I felt both, and neither one was going to go away anytime soon. A month passed. Daniel called twice. I didn't answer. He sent a few texts. I read them but didn't respond. My mother found out we were separated. She called it taking a break when she talked to her friends, like we were teenagers trying to figure ourselves out. My sister came over one night with wine and takeout. Are you okay? She asked. I don't know. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. She didn't push. We ate in silence and watched a movie neither of us paid attention to. When she left, she hugged me for a long time. Whatever you decide, I support you, she said. I nodded. Alone again, I wandered through the apartment. Everything reminded me of him. The couch where we'd spent countless evenings. The kitchen table where we'd eaten breakfast together for 2 years. The bedroom where we'd slept side by side. I thought about moving, starting over somewhere new, but that felt like running. And I was tired of running from things. Work became my refuge. I took on extra projects, stayed late, volunteered for assignments no one else wanted. My boss asked if everything was all right. Fine, I said, just trying to stay busy. She didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. At night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. Sometimes I cried. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I felt nothing at all. And that scared me more than the sadness. I kept replaying the wedding in my head, looking for signs, clues, moments where I should have known. But the truth was, I hadn't known. And maybe that was the worst part. Not that he'd said it, but that I'd never seen it coming. 2 months after the wedding, Daniel showed up unannounced. I opened the door and found him standing there with flowers. "I know I should have called," he said. "Yeah, you should have. Can I come in?" I hesitated. "Please," he added. I stepped aside. He came in and set the flowers on the kitchen counter. They were tulips. My favorite. Of course he remembered. "I'm not here to pressure you," he said. I needed to see you." "Okay." We sat in the living room again. Same positions as before. Him in the chair, me on the couch. "I've been going to therapy," he said. "Good. She's helped me understand some things. About myself. About why I reacted the way I did." I didn't respond. I've always been afraid of commitment. Not just with you. With everything. Jobs. Friendships. Plans. I spend so much time worrying about making the wrong choice that I end up sabotaging the things I actually want. That doesn't change what you did. I know. But I wanted you to know that it wasn't about you. It was never about you not being enough. It was about me being terrified that I wasn't enough. I looked at him. Really looked at him. He looked tired. Older somehow. "I appreciate you telling me that," I said. "But it doesn't fix anything." "I know." "Do you?" "Yes." I stood up and walked to the window. "I've spent 2 months trying to figure out if I can forgive you. If I even want to. And the truth is, I don't have an answer. That's fair. But what I do know is that I can't be with someone who treats our relationship like it's negotiable, like it's something you can take back if you change your mind. I won't." "You already did, Daniel. On the most important night of our lives, you already did." He stood up. "So this is it?" "I think so. You want a divorce." I turned to face him. "I want to stop feeling like I'm waiting for you to hurt me again." His face crumpled. "I never wanted to hurt you." "I know. But you did." He nodded slowly. Tears were running down his face, but he didn't wipe them away. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I know you are. Is there anything I can do?" "No." We stood there for a moment, 2 people who'd promised forever, realizing forever had an expiration date. "I'll have my lawyer contact yours," I said. "Okay." He walked to the door, stopped, turned back. "For what it's worth, marrying you wasn't a mistake. Saying it was, that was the mistake." I didn't respond. He left, and I closed the door. 6 months after the wedding, the divorce was finalized. It was quick, clean. No fighting over assets or custody or who got what. We split everything down the middle and moved on. Or at least, that's what I told people. The truth was messier. Some nights I still woke up and reached for him. Still expected to hear his breathing beside me. Still had to remind myself that the apartment was mine alone now. I changed things gradually. Repainted the bedroom. Got new furniture. Threw out the wedding photos I'd never bothered to frame. My mother asked if I was seeing anyone. "Not yet," I said. "You will," she assured me, "when you're ready." I didn't tell her that I didn't know if I'd ever be ready. That the idea of trusting someone that completely again felt impossible. My sister set me up on a blind date. A friend of a friend. Nice guy. Good job. Recently divorced himself. We had dinner. Made polite conversation. He walked me to my car afterward and asked if he could call me. "Maybe," I said. He never called. I didn't mind. Work continued. Projects came and went. I got a promotion. Moved to a new apartment. Smaller. Cheaper. But mine. Sometimes I thought about Daniel. Wondered where he was. If he'd moved on. If he ever thought about that night. But mostly, I didn't. Because I'd realized something in the months since he'd left. His regret didn't change anything. His apologies didn't erase what he'd said. And his pain at losing me didn't make mine hurt any less. Some endings don't come with closure. They just come with silence. And eventually, you learn to live in that silence. You learn that you're stronger than you thought. That you can survive something you thought would destroy you. That marriage isn't always forever. And that's okay. I'm okay. Most days anyway. And on the days when I'm not, I remind myself that I made a choice. I chose myself. And that's more than he ever did. By the time regret arrives, the door is usually closed. See you in the next video.